It has been pretty warm out and relatively dry for the last few weeks, which means most bike park trails, most trails are opening up, and that means Fast versus Fun episode 1 will be coming out in the next few weeks. I'm pretty excited to upload the first episode of this show, but this video acts as a bit of an informational prologue to episode 1. There's a very high likelihood that I'll omit a lot of the comparison details between the two bikes in favor of entertainment in the episodes, but I also know that if I watched a video that had these two in it, would be kind of interested in knowing in a very neatly contained way what the differences were. So if you're like that, I can refer you to this video and you can get all the information that you want. So if you're here from any of the episodes, hello. So Fast Norton is a size medium Poseidon Norton built up as a bit more of a down-country hardtail. It has a 120mm travel Fox factory 32 fork with the steer tube cut super short because I'm kind of impulsive with my decision making and I didn't look forward into the future. Whatever. On this one, I've got 29-inch wheels, even though this bike is designed around 27.5, and they are Shimano XT hubs laced to some pretty narrow American Classic rims, which on the rear is super dented, mostly because I'm a hack. The front tire is a Panaracer Driver Pro in 2.4-inch width, and the rear is a Panaracer Comet Hardpack in 2.1. I do think I could get a 2.25 on here with this rim width, but I might just try and get some wider rims in a future episode and see what that's like with the 2.1. It'll probably widen it out a little bit. The drivetrain is a mix of SRAM, GX, and NX components, the shifter and cassette being NX, and the derailleur GX. The cranks are an old set of SRAM X1s, 175mm length. I wish they were a little shorter. And the bottom bracket is it's pretty crunchy and worn out, but I'm not gonna replace it. The brakes are Shimano SLX front and rear, and I'm running a 160mm rotor in the rear and a 180 up front. I have a 30.9 diameter 1-up dropper shimmed in this frame because it's supposed to take a 31.6, and it's got 150mm of drop. Perched up there is a specialized power saddle, which is actually a little bit wide for me, but it matches the frame and kind of looks good. The stem is a Cintas Flat Force 66mm length. I think it actually comes out a little shorter than that when you measure it from the top. And clamped in there is some nuke-proof bars that I cut down to 760mm of width. Finished off with a set of foamy grips. Fun Norton is also a size medium Poseidon Norton, but it's built up as a bit more of a playful medium travel trail type hardtail. I have a 140mm travel Suntour Aeon 35 on it currently with a particularly long steer because I've learned my lesson with cutting mountain bike steers too short. The wheel size on Fun Norton obviously are 650B, but they are mismatching wheels. The rear is a WTB I-23 rim with a Formula rear hub, and the front is a Hunt Trail Wide. I've wrecked a lot of rear wheels, what can I say? Tire choice here is a Panaracer Aliso 2.6 in the rear and a 2.6 Panaracer Romero in the front. The drivetrain on this is Advent X with an SLX crankset, and this setup has been pretty great so far. The brakes are the same SRAM Guide Rs that were on Pink Panther, and there's the same rotor sizing story here, 160 in the rear, 180 in the front. I have a 210mm 1-up dropper on this, and I get to run it all the way down, which is awesome. And perched up there is a fabric scoop saddle. I really like this saddle. I wish I could have it on all my bikes, but the stem is a race face. I believe it's 50mm long with some 35mm diameter Rocky Mountain bars at 800mm wide. And grips between Fast and Fun are the same, foamies. So I know that's like a pretty rapid fire list of parts on both of these things, but that is the builds. Those are the builds. And I know that if you're like not interested in this kind of thing, that your eyes are probably like glazing over a little bit and you're maybe not even here anymore. So perfect. There's just a couple more little nerdy things that I want to address, and then this video will be over. And the most interesting thing, though not surprising, is the effect on the geometry of the two different axle to crown lengths of the forks. So the 140mm travel 650B Aeon 35 fork that I have on Fun Norton is, it actually measures out about 20-ish to 25mm longer than the 120mm travel Fox 32 that is on Fast Norton. This is a 29er fork, that is a 650B fork. I kind of thought they would like equal out a little bit, but they don't. And what that's done, with the caveat that I'm measuring everything with a standard measuring tape and then converting to millimeters, so there's a lot of fudging around going on here, is, after doing a lot of measurements, on average, increased the reach of the Fast Norton by about 15 millimeters, depending on how I measure the reach at all different spots in the garage. I get anywhere from like 10 millimeters longer to sometimes like 20. So yeah, I just sort of average it out. Kind of cool with the shorter fork, increased the reach out a little bit. I haven't bothered to compare the stack because it just seems a little bit useless. The stem on this is so low. It's got that really aggressive angle, and Fun Norton has spacers, more going on. It's a different stem altogether. So comparing the stack doesn't really matter, I don't think. And also you would expect that the bottom bracket drop on Fast Norton would of course go lower, but that's sort of like negated by the larger wheels. It's got 29-inch wheels, so the bottom bracket height, I think it just kind of comes out relatively negligible. At least it has felt that way while riding it, versus the smaller wheeled Fun Norton. And then, just because I kind of forgot to do it, I want to see what the difference between head tube angles is. Well, I'm going to measure it like really archaically with my phone. But it should come out on Fun Norton as like 65, which it does. 90 minus 25, 65. And the expectation with Fast Norton, with about a 20 millimeter shorter fork, is that it'll be a little bit steeper. I don't know how much. We're about to find out. Yeah, that checks out. It's about a degree steeper. So it's about 66 degrees. Okay, that's it. Subscribe so that you can catch the first episode of Fast versus Fun and all of the absolute nonsense in between.